welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I got everybody this week, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I ain't even prepped the guys. Fellas, introduce yourselves one at a time. Just tell people who you are.
BFBG, Art, Faison, New 2K. That dude.
El Fresh Dent, Sir Frisco, the freshest resident DJ, Fresh Vader, want to get it popping. Y'all know what time it is. View me.
All right, introverts, let's go.
Just super dad of the year, dad man, B Jones, formerly the Sneaky Q. Shout out to the bros, former moderator, all around great guy.
BJ, let's roll.
And that's what you get.
You gotta prep me for things like this, man. Mentally, I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Man, I started to hit my whole peel, and I was like, you know what? They got enough of Ian with the advice to his younger self last week, a couple weeks ago. So, I'm not even gonna go down that road, but yeah.
Hey, man,
that was good.
Mom hit me with a text like, you said what? She's like, that's good. Okay. That's okay, sir.
Hey.
And I am your host, Coach K. And you just mentioned Mom. We missed it last week. Oh, you know what? I guess I missed it. No, I didn't. We missed it last week. Happy belated birthday, Mom.
Yes.
We love you. We appreciate you. Yep. We got to get you. We actually got to get you on the show one week.
Yeah.
So
you do it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There you go. Awesome. We'd love to have you. Yeah. So this week, I'm excited. I don't even know what to do. I mean, it's been so long since all of us have been on here.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's
at least a month, maybe longer.
Yeah. At least. Shout out to our new followers on Instagram and on YouTube. YouTube, I know is my nephew. What's up, Khalil? Hopefully you're listening. If you are listening, give me a shout. I'll send you a $20 Chick-fil-A gift card. And I'm not gonna put this in the clips, obviously, to cheat. So, but fellas, I want to talk about something. People talk about our long intros and all this stuff. Yeah, I'm talking about you, cuz it's difficult being a black man. Did y'all know that?
No.
I mean, it's easy, baby. Rolling around in this beautiful ebony chocolate brown skin, baby.
Thank you.
Glorious beard. Sliding and gliding, dipping and flipping, baby.
Crown just be swinging around in places. Man. You walk in with authority.
Hey.
You said your crown? You said crown?
Crown.
Your face said
okay.
Crown.
I was like, what? What? Oh, anyway. All right. I'm glad we got past that. But I sent you guys a clip a couple days ago, and it's interesting how Chris Rock, he's living his best life right now, post slap, concerts selling out and getting plenty of even old stuff resurfacing and getting circulated. And one of those things was it basically said, as a man, women and children are loved and appreciated.
And dogs. He said, and dogs.
And dogs.
Men are
and
the
dogs.
only thing that are not
appreciated unconditionally.
Yeah, loved
unconditionally.
Yes.
Loved unconditionally. And I thought that was interesting. And I wanted to get you all's perspective on it. Do you all feel that was an accurate statement?
I
context. That's the first thing that jumped into my head. Like, what context are we talking about? Because I had to go back and find and I didn't find the whole thing yet. It seemed like it could be a pretty interesting stand-up from like the two clips that I saw. But what context are we talking about? Because from the 3-minute joke, not the 1-minute piece you sent us or whatever, he's definitely talking about within the confines of a relationship. But love can reach beyond that intimacy, emotional, those confines. So what context are we framing this question under?
So I think you got to look at under the context of don't think about your mama because your mama's always gonna love you.
Because you are the child in your mom's eyes in that scenario, regardless.
Correct.
That's true.
There you go. So let's talk about, I think, just life in general. Just life in general, not even necessarily relationship. Do you have to make something out of yourself in order to be loved?
How much love do you feel that you have not, that is not based on you providing something? That's simple. That is not based on you either. I am and it may just be you are a counselor for that person. You know what I mean? The simple fact that you are an ear and willing to listen. How many scenarios do you have where you feel that you are truly loved unconditionally and don't provide, and not in a sense of because you provide?
Just for waking up every day.
Yeah, just like, just because you are who you are.
I think that's no, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I think I can see where that not knowing the context, which is clearly important to the whole thing, but just that statement itself and putting it in a real life day-to-day situation, I can see where women are always looked at as that. With dogs, obviously, do anything to a dog, God forbid, the world's coming after you. And then for a man or anything man, especially a black man, but just a man, you are looked upon last, because if something's going wrong, then it's weak, or you're not strong enough, or you shouldn't be acting this way. Or I was listening to The Rock the other day talk about his story of not The Rock, Terry Crews. Terry Crews wrote his new book, and he talked about how he his dad showed him that a man is a man. He thought a man was a man because of the way he treated his mom, and he treated his mom as very dominant, and he beat her for some reason like that. But he's also very fearful of his children. Like no one disrespected him. It was fear, led by fear. So when that changes and you're not a person of fear, then I can see why I think, well, no, a guy or a man can be fine. Like why do you need to worry about him, or why do you need to think in that sense towards a man, because they're okay. And we're learning more and more about how the man stability or men mentally, the men need more over these time frames, but that's still being ingrained in us slowly versus where we should be right now for women or for children or for pets. I mean, the thing about they have pet therapy for pets. You go there, it's just, but men still struggle with that, asking for help or needing help in their mindset.
They have spas for dogs.
Yes. Yes. Especially in Georgia.
It's all over the place, but
I know, but Georgia's a dog state. It really is.
So I think again, go back to context, right? I understand what he's saying and the context he put in of men, women, children, and dogs. I get it, but I think that's coming from any outlet, right? So when you think about women and women, men and women, men and women, the kids, men and women, the dogs, children, whatever the case may be, right? From outward in, it's always that unconditional, yes. But when I would say take children and dogs out the equation, right? Because I know firsthand, like you see kids who have unwavering loyalty, love to mothers and fathers who've done nothing but wrong to them their entire lives. But because as mom, because as dad, like there's always that sense of loyalty, there's always a sense of love, or whatever that means to them, right? Pets, on the other hand, like even pets that have been abused in some cases, it takes a while, but there's a way for them to be reacclimated, whatever. The main thing comes back to men and women and how we treat each other and how we do so. It goes back to the relationship you've experienced, what you expect, and what's reciprocated, right? Because sometimes it may be that everybody shows it different ways, and not writing off that there's a right or a wrong way. But if it's not respect to you or love to you in your, I'm gonna use love language, even though I don't like to use that term a lot, because I don't want to focus on like the book or the 5 love languages. I think that's very limited scope of things personally. But if you do something, if it's not the way that I understand or I receive, and I'm not understanding what's going on, then have you taken the time to show me or really learning about me to show me that you love me or care for me unconditionally? Is there always a stipulation? There's always going to be some type of gap there and not really understanding what's going on. This came up in a language conversation. I'm sorry. It came up in a conversation, and I don't remember who it was. I heard it was another video, something online somewhere. And they're talking about the 5 love languages. And if your partner doesn't learn your language, does that make them wrong? It goes back to what we were talking about a few weeks ago about, do you relate to your partner how you like to be loved or how you need to be loved? So it's a two-way street. But if the communication is there, if the effort is there, if there's no resistance there, then it shouldn't be a problem. But I think we get into a lot of situations where it's, well, the condition is, I'll do for you what you do for me. Or I love you this if you do this. Right? And that comes from men and women. I don't think it's one side. I think it's more one-sided toward men, yes, but I don't think it's only toward them.
So you're going towards the forced context that I was about to create anyway, because I'm thinking about people that are going to contact us about this episode and what they're going to say. So let's make it in the family context, which I think we already have. And if you look at how it was framed up, women, children, dogs. So we're talking about the ideal family setting, husband, wife, 2 kids, quote unquote, and a dog and a white picket fence.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment where you can no longer support keeping the white picket fence white, and you're down on your luck, you've lost your job, does love start to disappear at the same rate as the resources?
In a lot of situations, just not in every situation.
Right. So I think there are portions of Rock's talk where he kind of talks about that. But no, it shouldn't. But it really depends upon the dynamic, because I think you have to know your role. And I'm going to ask the question in reverse, I guess, when we get, past this point, but it shouldn't. And I think if your partner is worth a damn, then it won't. Like to BJ's point, when it comes to, if your partner can speak your love language, are they a bad person if they can't? I don't understand how they can call themselves your partner if they can't, because how else is it supposed to work? Everybody's not the same. And I think finding the common ground in between all of that, so that both feel supported at any given point in time in the relationship, is what's most important.
Is that something you knew at all times, or something that you've grown to understand? Because I don't feel like when I was younger, thinking of my perception of relationships and thinking of a partnership with a woman, like I don't think that I really looked at it in that sense. Like I don't think that I really got that deep in the understanding of it. You know what I mean? There were such general thoughts of, you know what I mean? And it's correct, but I'm again, like I said, I just don't feel that. I know I didn't personally, when I was younger, really have that depth of thought of, you know what I mean, what it meant to, because I definitely didn't think about love languages and all of that stuff. It's definitely apparent now that I've, fought my battles and everything else, but it's definitely not something that was, I feel, taught or even thought of, or even that was apparent in our parents and their relationships and the relationships before that it wasn't something that was, you know what I mean, kind of thought of, taught, or even a lot of times expressed.
Okay, so let's simplify it a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Take the love languages out of it. Let's talk about just the
Yes,
provider
let's do that.
portion of it. As men, that's what we're brought up to be, the provider.
Yep.
When you're young, I think you have a very skewed and limited perspective of what that means. And I for one, fell into that category. So that's the growth and maturity piece, because I would not be in a relationship, or I was not in a committed relationship for periods of time in my younger life because I didn't feel like I was a complete package yet. I wasn't bringing enough to the table. I still had things that I want to get established and set in place. So that way, if I'm going to bring a woman and call her, or we call ourselves together, not necessarily me call her mine, but that's how you think at that point in time, then I need to be able to sustain that. As you get older, sustaining that starts to mean different things. My current situation, sustaining this current situation, it means different things. And I think that's the maturity aspect of it that you have to, grow into.
I agree with that.
No, yeah. I 100% didn't think of those things, and the maturity level is a huge factor in that, and just when you you gotta grow up, and it's weird because everything you said was just like, yeah, no, yeah, and I'm sure people are listening now like, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to form my thought around what I want to say to that. I don't know how to add on to that. It just makes sense.
But so here's the add-on. So let's take us, for instance. So we went to an expensive institution. None of us really had money, not real money. We had overage checks.
Mhm.
Borrow money.
We had borrowed money
Yeah.
that only went so far. But I would venture to say that I feel like the females that were around us had a better sense of let's make this money work, or let's stretch this money, or because maybe because they were the daughters, that consistent provide, make sure you're good was there for them. Whereas for us as sons, it was, okay, you guys are on your way to becoming independent. You got to go find your way.
Interesting.
Agreed, but I think there's another layer to that as well, because when you think about what's the next step after college, right? So back to Brett's point about, are you ready to take on that challenge, to take on that responsibility? More, I would say more logical, that's not the right word. The linear thinking, I'll speak for myself, I can speak for every guy. The logical thinking for me was that financially, I'm not ready. Emotionally, I may be there. I may not be there, but financially, I know I can't do this right now. And to me, that has to be a major component of everything. Love can be in the air, love can be a thing, but love don't pay the bills. Love don't put a roof over your head, put food on the table. And if I'm supposed to be the provider, there's still some things that I need to correct or get right in my life before we can move on and take that step. And I had this conversation with Olivia. I've grown up like down at even the first couple of years afterwards. I mean, we've talked about this over the years in general, like, right? But are you financially in place? And that's, I think, the cycle, because women can see things and say, yeah, I'm ready now. But if a man is not ready at that moment, then it's looked upon as, okay, well, he's just playing around, he's not ready. That may be the case. I'm not in everybody's head. But a lot of times it really is, no, my idea of what needs to be in place.
Yeah.
I have to have my ducks in a row before I make that step, before I do this, right? So that unconditional, like, love, we may love each other, but you're ready to move on, and I'm not there yet because I know I can't financially provide.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really provide, take you on the trips, or we're going to be living in the same apartment we lived in undergrad for another couple of years. Like, those are real situations that I thought about, like, over the years. Even years after being in a career for a while, paying down debt, paying down all that stuff. How can I take on being responsible for somebody else when I'm still living paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah.
Right. And I want to bring it from that time period, right? And I want to make it more relatable to the average Black male, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we don't really know what the true
What does that
average,
mean? Yeah.
what is the true image of the average Black male. We have no idea. It's totally skewed by the media and TV and statistics, etc. But I want to bring the age up a little bit because allegedly we have a very unique experience, right? We went to college, we had all these people around us, blah, blah, blah. I did say allegedly. For those of you that want to come for us, I said allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on that word. Let's say that was not the case. Let's say for somebody who does not go to college, somebody who graduates high school, you're out my house, right? And I heard somebody actually say the other day, my daughter can stay at home as long as she wants to. She can go to college, she can graduate, she can move back in and be here as long as she wants. My son, as soon as he hits 18, he has got to go.
Yeah. That's
I am a firm believer of gender equality. Can't have it. But go ahead.
Right. And but that's the case for us, the Black generation or African American or whatever you want. That's what we do. That's not the same for other cultures. And it is. We had the conversation with somebody the other day when I was eating lunch. Something they said their son is about to turn 32, and they won't let him leave until they can help him pay for his house. But we're like at 18, going through your thing. You're a man. You got a job yet? Or 21 for coming to college. All right. So what's your plan? You can't come back here. Like that mindset is just insane, but it is what we live with, and it starts us off on a backwards path.
That's okay. So I mean, technically, if you look at it, that's where the groundwork is laid, right?
Mm-hmm.
For if we're not contributing, then the love starts to diminish, right? Because if you have that in our community where girls, y'all can stay as long as you want, guys, you got to go. Well,
Crazy.
does that mean that you got to go out there and make something of yourself? Otherwise, it's a bust.
So there's two things with that. First, I feel like it's perception. When you talk about the love being lost, because love doesn't always have to feel good. And I think that's where, kids don't understand it at a young age, and then they start to understand it as they get older for the tough lessons that love has to teach you along the way. And everybody's situation is different. I can't put an age on when my children, have to leave the nest, but they absolutely have to leave. And it definitely should be before they're 32 if we doing things right. But at a certain point, I feel like if you're not put in a position to have to provide, you never know what that feels like. And if you've had the example up until you're 21, 24, if you went to college or whatever, then you should have the tools necessary. Now, I'll always be a safety net within reason, but I don't want to be I don't know, like a baby crib for my child, because then you start setting up those men that, women like to talk about. Oh, he's a mama's boy, or he can't do anything for himself. It's like we talk about the woman not conditionally loving a broke man. I think Chris Rock says that specifically. But how can you love unconditionally someone who is broken? I think that a good woman would absolutely try to be able to help mend and put that person together as much as they can, but that person has to be able to do some of that for themselves.
Yes, I agree with that. And Kay, I'm about to go with process for you, but I think that's where we stuck in that bubble. You literally said that the perception may be he's a mama boy or he's not doing his thing. But having him stay at home or having him be there doesn't mean that he's not producing on the back end. You're setting him up for success so that when he is ready to go or time happens, like he's boom. Now he's ahead of the game for everybody at that age frame now. So him and his girlfriend, wife, whatever it may be, like even wives move back in and say, hey, listen, you guys come here. A prime example, you guys come back here, live with us. We got you, build up your deposit and go.
But you came back. That's the thing.
Right.
So it's not like you
But
hadn't
she
left.
never left. She left for a little bit, but technically she never left, but she's also a daughter. So I get that. So now we're back to that full circle.
But what? So the only pushback I have to that, I agree with you, but the only thing I'm thinking through is you talk about the example you have. What real example do we? Even if you have both parents in the household and you see dad going out to work, mom may be working or may not be working. When we grew up, I know everybody still may be in fluctuation. Like my first year, mom didn't work. She went back part-time when I was in second grade. It went back full-time. I think I started like walking home by myself in fourth grade, fifth grade, like went back full-time. Like, but my earlier, she was at home. So dad was working and bringing home the bacon, if you will, right? But then there was joint. All I saw was them going to work, and to my knowledge, things were getting paid. I don't really have a knowledge of how that, who's doing what or what the finances were. And I think part of the thing I think that was good because I had to make my own assumptions and become astute to what's going on. But also I think that it's bad as well because I don't really know. My father was a mechanic, and now I realize there were some up times and some down times where he'd be gone all day, but there wasn't no work. I remember conversation, but I didn't pick up on that as a kid.
Right.
But I do remember vividly conversation about like hours being cut back this week, or they're going to 3 days instead of 5 days, and he was straight hourly based on mechanics pay. Like we got the bill paid, but I know my mom was working full time as well, so it doesn't take long. 2 + 2 = 4. Mom was covering a lot of the stuff during some of the time. Never once do I feel that she made him feel that any less of a man or any less love because of that. But we didn't. I tell you, this is after I probably moved out the house and I replayed all this stuff. And that really pretty much after my father passed away, that I'm really replaying all these things and all these things just kept coming back. And I don't really know. I would know what I want to say, but it's not coming out. It's one of those things where you could be in an environment and see and assume things are getting, but not really know that times may be hard. The roles may shift in financially. It may shift in who's doing what and the responsibility like that. But is that really something that we share with kids? I also think we bring too many kids into too much information nowadays.
Yeah.
They know too much about finance and things going behind the scenes that they shouldn't know.
Shouldn't know about, yeah.
In a kid's place.
So hold on. Okay, Carl. So you're in a very good position, BJ, because you have both boys and girls, right? Young men and women. Now, I always say that, my parents did the best that they could do with what they had when it came to, raising me. A lot of things, the knowledge and things I came into, I had to acquire it through experience.
Yes.
Now, having acquired that through experience and just listening to you talk about your experience and the things that you may have been lacking, whether it due to the shield that your parents wanted to keep around you, which I think kids should be shielded from some of those conversations. But would you send your kids off to, say, college or out of the nest at whatever point that they're ready, without having certain financial literacy tools or having been able to, experience some sort of things that will prepare them for life on their own?
I don't think that was the vein in which he was talking about.
I get it. I don't think he hit on it, but I think that stops a cycle, because if we're talking about I almost want to say provider syndrome and somewhat lack thereof based on the conversation that we've had, some of that is fueled by just a lack of knowledge. And so if we can curtail that in some form, then we start setting ourselves up or our young men up in the situation that to be a little bit more ahead of the game as Art. And I think BJ were kind of talking about, earlier on.
Yeah, and I think that's accurate. And the point I don't want to lose is there seems to be a transition, right, of what kids are involved in and what they're not involved in and what gets aired out. And to me, there's a big respect piece there that even if that male figure is struggling, I'm not going to degrade him or break him down in front of the kids.
That's huge. Yes,
absolutely.
And I think, man, you could watch TV, you could go to the mall, you'll see crazy things. Just in general conversation, you can see it on people during the day in their Zoom meetings or Teams or whatever, and you'll see them talk to that male figure, and it's just like, oh my gosh, and the kids are running around in the back, and there's something that's being encouraged, or something that's being, we're fanning a flame there that if you think about it, TV, music, right? Like I can go all the way back to there ain't nothing going on but the rent. Gotta have a job if you want to be with me, right? And then you can bring it up to no scrubs. I don't want no scrubs. And then you just keep going, right? So think about how many decades I just covered, right?
Yeah.
So there's something that's being pushed out there. And I think it takes strong family foundation and bonds to be immune to that.
Yeah. Or yes. Yeah. Or belief in whatever, from the female aspect, belief in the goals of where she thinks he's going.
But that goes back to unconditional love.
Yeah.
That goes back to the whole topic of unconditional love. No matter what we're going through, no matter what goes on. Yeah, we're not going to see eye to eye on everything. We're not going to agree on everything. We may have arguments and stuff, but are we in this together? Are we in this together? That's what it comes down to.
But at the same time, and this is where I think it also takes a man who can handle the fact that he's making less and has a woman who's going to cover that for a while and not feel threatened by that. Because a lot of time that happens where it's like, oh, well, she makes more than me. Well, no, I can't do that because she can't make more than me. And he walks away from the situation where she's willing to love him unconditionally and not care about that.
That's not unconditional from his ending.
Right, from his, exactly. Yeah. So it's a two-way street, unconditional, being able to fall and be helped up to move forward, or be able to pick someone up and carry them.
But still, and that's even in, and again, there's many different routes that conversation can go down.
Yeah.
But even still, in that situation, even if she makes more,
yeah,
head of the household, handle responsibility, be the man of the house, handle responsibility.
Yeah.
It's not about who earns more. Are we taking care of the bills? Are we taking care of everything?
Right.
And am I still doing something to contribute? Or am I just falling back? So and I'm just playing a role, like
video gaming and smoking cigarettes or whatever, maybe doing nothing. Or am I actually being a part of our family? And
I tell you what, you hit a certain point. I don't mind being a stay-at-home dad.
I said the same thing. I tell EJ, I said, EJ, if you get some more promotions, I'm good.
I already cook. I ain't got no problem doing laundry, cleaning. Like I ain't got no problem doing that. I'll be at home. I can pick up a kid. Like, what do you want to do?
Right. I can do more sports things.
Shouts to my brother, only trophy husband I know currently. One time,
yo, tell you, I'd be a great,
because it's not before it was roles were defined, right?
Yeah.
And that role defining, those lines should have been blurred a long time ago. And that's when we get into this whole, well, that's your responsibility. No, we got to take care of this house and make sure everything runs smooth.
And especially,
does that always see eye to eye when it comes to husband and wife, man and woman interactions? It doesn't always come out that way. But at the end of the day, that's what it should come down to. When we think about, again, what our kids seeing, respect from everybody, and it doesn't matter who makes the most.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really matter. Like, but what are we doing with that? What we're making? Because you could be making more, but if you're wasting it,
yep,
what good is it?
Yeah, and
vice and for the man as well. If you're not responsible for what's been given to you, and you're still not making ends meet, or you're still coming short because you got all this other stuff going on, or excessive lifestyle that is depleting from the family situation, like, or just the household, even if it's not kids or whatever, then that's not handling responsibility. And then vice versa, it goes from either side. That's the sense of, I would say unconditional love, but that's a question to be asked. Like, what's really going on? What's your priority?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, has something.
It's gone now.
All right.
I was gonna say, listen, we got a huge female following as far as our podcast listeners, and I heard y'all. I heard somebody hiss their teeth and said, well, there's all these males out here disrespecting women. I hear you. I know, and I know it's out there in music, it's out there in movies too. Mm-hmm. We understand, but we're not those males.
Nope. Never have been.
We're not those males. So I hear you. And the reason why this podcast exists is so that we can be examples for the other males out there and the males that are growing up. And, we definitely want to be that for sure. So it is not on deaf ears that, look, there's a lot of disrespect. There is a lot of, breaking down the female in the family setting and calling people out of names. We understand that needs to be something that's worked on. But my personal viewpoint and opinion is that our family structure is just broken, period, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
We have households that are holding up and fighting that battle, but I think there's a constant pressure all the time on both sides that is making it difficult. And I think that's what we're constantly fighting. And I don't even know what the all-encompassing answer is, because I think there's a lot of foundation work that has to be done first. I think there's a lot of therapy that needs to be done. There's trauma that has been experienced on both parts that I think until we can repair that, we're always going to have these conversations.
True.
I think it's part of the it's broken, but it's the evolution, right? It's evolving and breaking down the constructs of the traditional what we thought partnerships were, what we thought relationships meant, what we thought it meant for who to hold down the household and what that entailed, and all of these other things. As that is evolving now, and our understanding and our being okay with husbands who cook and are taking care of the kids as well, and that it isn't something that is so taboo, and all of these things are happening. This is the period we're in now, that change is happening, the acceptance and understanding, where it's shaken up right now, it's broken right now, because there's so much of the chaos and the trying to figure out and trying to understand, and the ability. It's just like getting past everybody should be a doctor or a lawyer, because those are the ones that make the most money, and so go do that, you know what I mean? And being able to be comfortable in, oh well, no, I want to be a comedian, or I want to be a, you know what I mean, whatever, an influencer, but I'm going to put some real effort towards it, you know what I mean? And all of those things, is that evolution that's happening. And so we are in that period of watching, acceptance, understanding, and it's going to be interesting to see how we come out, and really how our children are able to see and deal with the relationships that they have. Because I know one of the biggest issues right now is the fact that they're moving away from relationships, right? They're moving away from even worrying about that instance of thinking a partnership needs to happen. It's almost like they're more becoming community based than worrying about a one-on-one partnership.
And I want to say this as it pops in my head. A man can teach a boy how to be a man without having a 9 to 5. And I'll leave it there.
Did he break up?
All right. A man can teach a boy how to be a man without having a 9 to 5.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But that's stipulation that in order for you to do that, in order for you to be that dad or that mom or that dad or that man to teach him, you have to be in that position. Like I'm saying, you got to be a lawyer, a doctor. You can craft a doctor by being a stay-at-home dad. You can craft a lawyer by being supportive, or an amazing person at sports, by whatever it may be, by being there. I think being present does more than you not having to be there.
So question, fellas, Carol. It was posed.
Am I not a fellow? I mean, like, why did you have to?
I know I said you, so we don't get the awkward pause when it goes for everybody to answer. So you get to go first. It was posed about the unconditional love for a man only if he provides. That was original. Can we love a woman unconditionally that does not provide?
So my response to that, and I was already thinking this in the sense of the male, right? When we say provide, we automatically go to monetary.
80-20.
I don't know that when you think about the woman, is there still now a default to what provide means on the part of a woman?
I agree with you because I don't feel like the default should be monetary when it comes to a man. So that's why I'm asking it in reverse.
Yes, no, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think women, and especially Black women, have broken the roles, or not. When I say not broken them, because I don't think that's how they were supposed to be. They've shattered and expanded what that role could actually be, right? Or what provide could actually be. Like we just said it. You have women out there that, you know, there's still pay inequality out there, but there are some that are making huge amounts of money, right? So what does that mean? I don't know if the majority of men still expect women are going to cook, clean, you know, whatever else. Is that still something that exists? Because for me, I know my thing is, as BJ said, hey, are we taking care of the house? Are we taking care of our child? Whatever that looks like, whatever combination of our combined efforts, as long as there are combined efforts, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about taking care of each other? Because that's the one thing I think that you didn't say. And I feel like that's the crux of this conversation when we're talking about providing. It's not all monetary. It's not on anyone's sole shoulder. It shouldn't be on anyone's sole shoulder monetarily if we understand the construct of the relationship, of the partnership, of the band, as Chris Rock said. But so if you're taking care of the household, if you're taking care, like if the household encompasses all of that, then great. But I don't want us to lose sight of taking care of each other and what that means, because I feel like that is where providing comes in. Whatever you define it, once you know what we need together. You feel me?
Yeah, I get it. Because it's going to adjust. And I think it has to be able to also move. I think that needle is never a standstill. It has to be able to bounce consistently. And I think if you're able to understand that could change, then your relationship so forth will continue to grow. But if you're stuck in that, well, this is how it's supposed to be, and if something goes wrong, which indeed something goes wrong, it's just a part of life, that's when those move away or they get stronger because they can adjust.
Here's my response to that. And I don't want to dominate this part of the conversation, but I think the same way that desegregation hurt the financial strength of our communities, migration hurt that ability for us to take care of each other as man and woman. And here's why I say that. When we didn't venture out past where we grew up and we had that true village, you had the people around you that were able to take the pressure off of you of taking care of the children and making sure that they were good, that allowed you that time to take care of each other as man and woman.
Yes.
Very true.
And as we have now spread out and we've gained access and grandma and grandpa are hours away.
Yep.
Right? Now it's always one parent or the other or both are so wrapped into what the kids are doing that I think you lose sight of taking care of one another.
Yes. I couldn't have said that better.
I agree. And I think that's some of the evolution part as well, because again, I can only speak for me. For me, taking care of me is everything we just talked about. That's where my stress comes from. Ensuring that things are taken care of. Is everything paid? Is everything that, like, that for me, I don't need words of affirmation. I like that whole stuff for me, like, is non-existent. Like, are we straight? Do the kids have to be fit? All teenagers now and 3 things going on in one day? Am I in the car from Saturday morning to Saturday afternoon, running back and forth, dropping off, picking up, bit up, and somebody's home taking a nap? I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying I'm just trying to paint a picture. Like, for me, that is like, I'm out here hustling and bustling, whatever. And again, something may be wrong. You may need the nap, but also I may need a nap tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
So when is that? I see you struggling. I see you doing this. Here, let me take this off your plate.
Right.
Like that struggle. Like it's when you say take care, I think that take care. Everybody has to evaluate what that take care means. Some people may need, I need that personal time out one-on-one. I may need that vacation. You go, like, I may need all this stuff. For me, it's peace. It's peace and the stress away. If I can get there, I'm on cloud 9. I don't need all the other stuff. But every household may be different, though. And what every person needs, what every man or woman needs.
The question is, though, have you conditioned yourself not to need all that other stuff?
Yeah, we definitely have.
That's a whole nother episode, bro. That's a whole nother episode, probably. But I would say, honestly, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Because somebody asked me once before, like, what brings you joy? And I couldn't give them an answer. Like, for me, joy is making sure everybody's taken care of. If everybody's straight, I'm good.
I thought it was just me.
No,
but I couldn't really give. I had to think about that answer to give them. Like, what do you do for joy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you on mute, Fresh?
Yeah, come on, Wheezy.
But I'm being honest.
I get it.
You guys are for the people, though. Like, I don't really know what that means, because for me, it is that provider mode is always on. Like, even though we may do stuff outside the body, like go to work, spend time with the family, whatever, try to make time to do stuff with, and I get honest, I failed at separating time from me and Gina. I fail at that. I struggle. And it's a consistent conversation that I have to consistently do something. But a lot of that, it go back to what Kay said. Well, this now, again, they're all over the place. So Cameron started running track this season.
Mhm.
So try to end the day early to get the track practice, and one of us can make it at 4:30, the other one can't be there at 5:15. Somebody has to be at church, somebody has to do this, like all over the place. Like that stuff is, everybody is in their place and I'm able to get them to what they need to do, whatever, I'm happy.
Mhm.
And see,
Like-
that's a whole nother component to it. The number of things that kids can do now.
Oh, yeah.
But that goes back to us wanting to provide them the opportunities
Mhm.
for them to experience it and have the opportunities and meet the network they need. Because we understand now that network is your number, forget a degree, the network is your number one key.
It is.
So we're trying to help provide that for them and bring them along the way of about how to build relationships, how to interact with anybody else, like not just be only in your neighborhood, like how to get out across the city. Because again, if you're looking at going to college, networking for scholarship, you're looking at like getting a job. What does that mean? I like trying to teach them those skills to do so. So if they're on the daily basis doing that, like, but the thing is, like, that caught me by surprise. I had to really reflect on that question. Like, what brings you joy?
Yeah.
Like art, I know you'll go to amusement parks like that. And that's like that. And we talked about outlets too. Like, what do I do? I'll go sit in my backyard for a little while and I'm fine.
But again, and let's bring it full circle and then we got to wrap this up. But
Yep.
when you think about the providing piece, even when you find that small fraction of time to go do something for yourself, you're still feeling some form of guilt because you're like, oh, I should be doing something to contribute.
Yep.
Definitely.
Or you make up more when you get back home. You overdo trying to make up for the time that you were away taking care of you.
Mhm.
Definitely. Guilty. That's sure.
Just
Go ahead,
gotta
Brett.
exercise that muscle, man. Exercise that muscle.
Okay. Well, Brett, when's the last time you went on a trip that wasn't related to Keller?
Nah, bro, but this is a little bit like it's because I'm providing. Okay.
Okay. Exercise that muscle.
Mm.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna cut it here. This conversation could keep going on, so I feel like it's a good one, but I feel like we got to talk about joy next week. Joy.
And pain.
Yes.
Oh man, he said joy.
Sunshine.
Joy.
Sorry.
I'm gonna think about it. This is gonna be a good thing the whole week long, like trying to figure out like that joy, not being just family or wife or like what brings me personally.
Just for you personally.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thought.
And we got to be real intentional about not tying it into what do you. We had something very similar, but I definitely want it to be in joy. How do you find joy for yourself?
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, that's our show. Asher, let them know, son.
That's it for now, folks.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're done here on the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are
Amazing.